questions from our fans. Can I shoot a few at you?
Yeah.
David Irons. David Irons is a friend of the show. He's a huge fan of yours. He's got a couple, so we'll come back to him in a minute. But the first question is from Fright Night 2. And he was saying that your character, Bosworth, goes against the Renfield style, the typical Renfield style from back in the day. Whose idea was it to play it as a cool, calm, and attractive Renfield?
I'm going with Tommy Lee Wallace. It grew, we did the audition, we got the part, and then that started to grow during the wardrobe fitting and how we wanted to accessorize him. What's costume is this guy going to have, right? So that happened. I remember when discussions with the costume designer that we decided to go with suits to make it an upscale. And if memory serves me correctly, that pretty much was Tommy's doing. He wanted him to have a little panache. And then the bug eating just seemed kind of almost it seemed almost like I read this, it was kind of a throwaway. It was kind of like, oh, we're just adding this in because it's kind of creepy. And I said to Tommy, I said, Tommy, what if this guy is a complete connoisseur of insects?
Ooh, yeah.
And that he knows everything about them, so that before he eats one, he's like relishing the scientific name and then just pops it in his mouth. And without hesitation, Tommy's like, yes, we're doing it. Awesome. So I researched and found the scientific name for whatever bug we were reading at the time. And that was me. I don't get a writing credit for that. But little things like that, really help flesh out a character and make it something like, yeah, that guy has a point of view. He's a real person.
Yeah, cool. It's like multi-dimensional characters. You don't just want to be the villain. It's like what you're saying. Like, why are we fighting with these? Why we need motivations for why a character is doing anything. It's important.
Yeah.
Even if the audience doesn't know.
Exactamente.
Yeah.
And that's why stealing from real life it's not really cheating. It can be cheating, but it works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you can as when you're watching, you're like, when a character is fleshed out. When an actor has done that work. So I think that's awesome. Next question is from our buddy Corey, Sleazy C. Can you still speak to dolphins like you could on the Key West show with Mr. Stevens?
Well, Corey, I love you already for asking about Key West, because that was, how Orson Welles says Rosebud at the end of Citizen Kane. Mm-hmm. You might see Brian go, Key West. Because to this day, that was the most lucrative job I've ever had in the best location. You're in Key West, Florida. And I learned to windsurf there, which changed my life. It became where I wanted to go vacation, where the wind blew and I could get on the water. So, Corey, I don't mean to burst your bubble since you brought up such a beautiful memory, but I never could talk to dolphins.
Oh,
I couldn't do it. And I wanted to. Believe me, when I was there and we had the dolphins, and I wanted that guy to be able to vibrate with my intellect. It didn't happen. Tried the Vulcan mind meld, didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But they're beautiful creatures, and the dolphin. Remember, we had a 20-foot. Fisher Stevens and I had a 20-foot open fisher. We bought it shortly after we got there, and I kid you not, something about the hum of the outboard on that boat. The dolphins would come to our boat. And you could and they would dance with you every time we go out diving, go fishing. I don't remember going out in that boat and not having the dolphins show up.
Wow. Wow.
That's so cool.
So the boat could communicate with him. I couldn't.
Good answer.
Love it. Erin Gilmer is a friend of the show. She has her question is, what are some of your favorite foods to eat?
Oh, well, top of the list is sushi.
Ding.
Ding.
Same. Love that.
I spend a lot of time on the Oregon coast where I get to still participate in wind sports. And so there's just picking mushrooms up there. My favorite is chanterelles. Secondly, matsutake, hedgehogs. I know a lot of people go crazy over morels. I do have some dried ones still. Those mushrooms are just a fantastic, because I think we're just learning about what mushrooms can do.
Yeah, totally.
We've seen The Last of Us. We know.
There is a mushroom that this guy has just patented that kills termites. I just read an article about a mushroom that there's a spore. The spore of the mushroom will get on the ants or get on the termites, and then they'll carry it back to the queen. And literally, there's video of these guys, these little ants with these little tiny mushrooms growing out of them, kills them.
Whoa.
And in the past, the old ants, we're really getting that. The protector ants,
getting in the weeds of the mushroom.
They could detect that spore if it got on the ant, and they would kill it, and then they would all run off away from the hive and die together. They were basically kind of kamikaze to protect the queen. But this guy, the way he was able to patent it, he was able to figure out what was in the spore that the ants detected, and they can't detect it anymore.
Whoa, that's a trip.
Yikes.
A mushroom. I mean, talk about non-toxic for humans, though. I mean, the way you kill termites and ants in the house right now, most people, especially the companies that don't want to pay labor for a person having to spend the time, spreading orange oil or microwaving every little cavity in your house.
Yeah, totally.
No, I hope it's a real deal.
That's beautiful. I hope that that becomes a bigger deal, and we can take care of the termite problem I'm having in my building. So.
Oh no.
Sort of.
They're crazy. It's the rains that get them going, and those carpenter ants too. They get really activated. Our friend David Ullman says, "What do you remember about your part in the TV series Werewolf? It seemed like your character Nicholas Remy was set up to be the new big bad. Had the show returned for a second season."
Now, talk about a character that was well fleshed out. I wish
totally.
Oh my gosh! I mean, the guy, he could have been 1,000 years old and had all those lifetimes, and golly, that was such a great part. I think that was the start of Walker, Texas Ranger. They had a deal to go on to do Walker, and I think that is what kind of helped that show go away. Darn it. I just remember being in love with this knowledgeable, ancient, he's almost a superhero.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So that was such a beautiful opportunity. So I remember a great character and opportunity missed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that show. Absolutely love that show. Very ahead of its time and underrated. And it's a shame that hopefully it'll see the light of day. I think there's a music licensing issue. That's why they can't get it out to the general masses, because they have a lot of pop 80s and 90s pop song, or late 80s pop songs.
Wild.
Yeah. Like the first episode has Mike and the Mechanics. Can you hear me? That silent running.
Oh.
And, so it's I think that's one of the issues that's held it up. It's a shame because it's a show that should be revisited, and your character in particular is so fantastic, so fantastic. So bravo to you, young man.
Yeah, and that I was given that character when I was 25 years old was just, I was ecstatic because
You have such a backstory, and it's so brilliant. It's so fleshed out. Anyways, I could go on and on about Werewolf, but
He talks about it most days.
I do actually.
Not kidding.
I was like, David, when David brought up that question, I thought, thank God David did, because I was going to bring it up in the interview as well. Back to David Irons. He loves your role as the alien bounty hunter in the X-Files. And David Duchovny's listed in the episode that you're in as a writer. And he wants to know if you know how instrumental Duchovny was in bringing that character to the screen.
David told me personally that he loved the character of the bounty hunter and that I would be in any show that he was directing. That's how much David instrumental he was.
That's
especially
cool.
the baseball episode.
Yep. The Unnatural, I believe.
Yeah. Wow. Good memory.
Yeah, David Irons is a huge fan of yours, so he's a good friend of our show. So, anyways, he had one more quick question about it. Did you have to sign away your likeness because there's mutilated faces, right? Did you have to sign away your likeness to that?
It's been so long since we read those contracts. Maybe I did. I don't know. When you sign the contract years ago, your agent bets it and says, yeah, go ahead and sign it.
Right.
Yeah.
The likenesses that I've seen are close, but they're probably not, really that exact, know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole other world now with this AI stuff when it comes to contracts and likenesses
Oh
and
my
sound alikes and last question. What's the craziest thing you've been asked to do in an audition?
Ooh, these are good questions.
Yeah, we do a decent show.
Good questions. Craziest thing I had to do in an audition. Golly. I know that come on, brain, go through it. There's been some commercial auditions. I know that there is a great answer for this question, and I'm blanking on it because it sounds like I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Yeah, we can ADR it. We'll ADR it. And
okay, Brian
fix it in
remembered
post.
3 days later. Oh yeah. He was asked to climb a wall and jump off a 10-foot cliff.
I know the feeling because you're like, of course I have a story, but
Well, Brian, I hope that you'd be open to coming back on the show at some point down the road because
sure.
This has been beyond wonderful having you on.
Tremendous.